You've seen the headlines, you've seen the hype, you've seen the absolutely explosive growth around artificial intelligence. And let's be honest, it feels a little familiar, right? Kind of like the dot-com boom. And that is a ton of people asking a really fair question.
Is this all just one giant speculative bubble that's doomed to pop, leaving behind a bunch of failed startups and broken promises? It's a totally valid concern. But today, we're going to dig into the evidence that suggests what we're seeing, well, it isn't a bubble at all. It's something way more fundamental. And we're going to break it down into 5 key signs. We'll look at a massive infrastructure shift, how it's being integrated into big business, the democratization of the tech itself, the global race for dominance, and, believe it or not, why its very real problems are maybe the biggest sign it's here to stay. So let's start at the very foundation. All right, sign number 1, the infrastructure. See, unlike past bubbles that were built on pure software and, let's face it, a lot of speculation, the AI boom is built on a very real foundation of steel, silicon, and just colossal amounts of energy. And the scale of what's at stake here is just staggering. McKinsey estimates that AI could add somewhere between $17 and $25 trillion in value to the global economy every single year. That's not the kind of number you see attached to some fleeting trend. So here's the crucial point. This is not just about some clever code. We are smack in the middle of a global, incredibly expensive and foundational transition. We're moving from traditional data centers built around CPUs to these massively powerful GPU-driven systems. It's like we're physically rebuilding the engine of the digital world, and it's happening at a crazy pace. And you can literally measure this physical shift in pure power. A RAND report projects that the energy demand for AI data centers is just going to explode, jumping to 327 gigawatts by 2030. Now, to put that in perspective, that's a 460% increase over the entire planet's data center capacity from just 2022. I mean, come on, you don't build that kind of energy grid for a fad. And this table right here, it perfectly illustrates who's footing the bill. It's the giants, the hyperscalers. Think Google, Amazon, Microsoft. They've already deployed nearly 9 million GPUs, mostly right here in North America. This isn't just a couple of startups in a garage. It's a massive, capital-intensive build-out by the biggest tech companies in the world. Okay, so the second sign this isn't a bubble is where all that computing power is actually going. AI is moving fast. I mean, really fast. From being some experimental tech into a core foundational piece of how businesses run across pretty much every single industry you can think of. And listen, this is not just a Silicon Valley story. Not at all. AI is becoming essential to everything. Yeah, sure, high tech and banking are seeing hundreds of billions in impact. But look further down the list. Pharmaceuticals, telecom, even agriculture. They're generating billions in new value. When a technology creates this much impact across the board, that's a signal of a true economic shift. And these aren't just abstract numbers on a chart. In agriculture, AI is analyzing aerial images to predict crop yields. In the energy sector, it's forecasting grid demand to help prevent blackouts. In banking, Brazil's Bradesco Bank is using an AI assistant to just slash customer response times. And in healthcare, we're seeing it integrated so deeply that it's actually replicating societal biases, which is a huge problem. But it proves it's being used for absolutely critical decisions. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so this powerful tech is just going to stay in the hands of a few giant corporations. But sign number 3 points in the exact opposite direction. You see, the economics of AI are getting sustainable and accessible for pretty much everyone, and that's how you know something's here to stay. Just take a look at this number. A recent report from Bond showed that downloads of Meta's open-source Llama models surged 3.4 times in just 8 months. That is an insane adoption curve by developers all over the world. And this open-source movement is absolutely crucial. It means you don't have to be a tech giant anymore to build something amazing with powerful AI. This democratization, it fuels this incredible cycle of innovation and competition, and it prevents the kind of stagnation you'd see in a closed, top-heavy market. It's a sign of a really healthy, sustainable ecosystem. So what's pouring gasoline on this open-source fire? Plummeting costs. The price to generate 1 million tokens of text, and you can just think of tokens as the basic building blocks of AI language, kind of like words. It dropped from over $10 to about $1 in less than a year. That is a staggering drop.
There's a fascinating historical parallel here. This steep decline in AI costs looks a lot like the falling price of computer memory, which dropped for 2 decades and basically enabled the entire personal computing revolution. It is a classic sign of a foundational technology becoming cheaper, more efficient, and ultimately permanent. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. The fourth sign that AI is here for the long haul is that this isn't just a commercial trend, it has become a strategic imperative for entire nations. We are right in the middle of a global race for AI dominance. Just look at the global regulatory landscape. Major powers like the EU and China already have AI regulations in place, while the US and the UK are scrambling to catch up. Governments don't spend this much political energy and capital on a bubble. They do it for transformative technologies that they see as critical to their entire future. And what's really interesting is that each major power is playing this game differently. The US is leaning on its massive private sector, with nearly $300 billion in venture capital over the last 5 years. The EU is trying to position itself as the world's ethical and regulatory leader with its Big AI Act. And China, they're taking a state-driven approach focused on practical applications, with over 100 generative AI products already approved. This is a flat-out competition for global leadership, and that makes it very, very real. Okay, for our final point, I want to pitch you a bit of a counterintuitive idea. The fifth, and maybe the strongest sign that AI is not a bubble, is the sheer depth and complexity of the problems it creates. I mean, think about it. Tech bubbles are often superficial, right? Built on flimsy ideas. But truly transformative technologies, things like the printing press, the steam engine, or the internet, they create these profound societal, ethical, and practical challenges that can take decades, even centuries, to solve. The problems AI presents are a direct measure of its impact. And we're not talking about simple technical bugs here. We're grappling with fundamental limitations. AI still lacks genuine, out-of-the-box creativity. It has zero innate emotional intelligence or any kind of ethical framework. It struggles with basic common sense. These aren't just features you can add in the next software update. They are deep, philosophical challenges about the very nature of intelligence itself. And this has led to some truly profound conversations. This quote, this is from the preamble of a proposed charter for the precautionary treatment of novel minds. The very fact that serious ethicists and scientists and policymakers are debating the rights and dignities of potential novel minds, well, that tells you everything you need to know. This is not a conversation you have about a superficial trend. This is a conversation you have about a technology that is forcing us to redefine what it even means to be intelligent. So, when you add it all up, the picture gets pretty darn clear. You've got a physical revolution you can measure in gigawatts. You have deep integration into the very fabric of our economy. You have a technology becoming cheaper and more accessible every single day. You have a strategic battleground for global powers. And you have challenges so profound they force us to ask what it means to be intelligent. These are not the signs of a bubble. When you put it all together, the evidence is pretty compelling. This really doesn't look like a bubble. So maybe the question we should be asking isn't if it's going to burst anymore. The much more important question is, now that we're confronted with this powerful, permanent new force, how are we going to choose to shape and manage its future? That's the real challenge and the opportunity that lies ahead for all of us.